Welcome to today's webinar, Business Opportunities in Communicating and Reporting on Disability Inclusion. I'm Ryan Curtis Johnson, Chief Communications Officer at the Valuable 500, and I'm thrilled to be opening this important conversation. For those who would find an audio description useful, I'm a white male, I have got short black hair, I'm wearing an orange shirt with a white background and some round tortoise patterned glasses. This session is jointly organised by myAbility, Disability Hub Europe and the ILO Global Business and Disability Network. Together, we're proud to bring you a dynamic discussion on how business can unlock the strategic value of disability inclusion through effective communication and sustainability reporting. Today, we're going to explore how companies can go beyond legal compliance to embed disability inclusion into their environmental, social, and governance (ESG) strategies, aligning with evolving policy frameworks like the European Sustainability Reporting Standards. So we'll also look at how inclusive reporting can drive continuous improvement, transparency, and cultural change across organisations. We are honoured and I am thrilled to be joined by a fantastic panel of experts who will share their insights and practical approaches. So we've got Anna Herzog, Solutions Lead at myAbility, Karen Etienne-Sloan, Global Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Reporting Director at L'Oréal, Jürgen Menze, Technical Specialist Disability Inclusion at the ILO Global Business and Disability Network, Elisabeth Dal-Bianco, Communication Operations Manager at IKEA Austria, Carla, Bonino, Sustainability Chief ESG at Foundation Once and Disability Hub Europe Lead, and Stefan Geister, Chief Sustainability Officer and Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Lead at L'Oréal Dange. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to watch after the session. You'll soon be able to revisit this discussion and share it with colleagues who couldn't attend. I'm also pleased to say that we offer international sign interpretation and live English captioning to ensure accessibility for all participants. Please also use the Q&A function during the webinar for your questions to the speakers. We will find some time to do this. We'll go through the questions at the end of the webinar, and we'll also invite you to use the chat function to introduce yourself and share your interest in the topic. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope this session provides you with valuable insights and inspiration to take meaningful action within your own organisation. So let's get started. Over to you, Jürgen.
Thanks so much, Ryan. First, a short physical self-description. Also, I'm a middle-aged white man. I'm wearing a light blue shirt, having a beard, and you can still see the effects of an overly eager hairdresser that I met last week, leading to some shorter hair than usual. Look. I coordinate the ILO Global Business and Disability Network, which is a coming together of 43 multinational enterprises, including L'Oréal, who is represented also today. And I have the privilege to frame a little bit at the beginning of this webinar our approach to reporting and communication. And I have prepared a few slides, not too many. Don't be worried. But just to explain this a little bit. I'll put up the slides. So first here, a reminder which companies are actually part of the Global Business and Disability Network. We're all working together to make it easier for companies to include people with disabilities in their policies, procedures, in their workforce, specifically promoting more and better employment for persons with disabilities. Now, at the last global conference of our global network in November last year in 2024, we launched what is called a business leaders pledge on disability inclusive sustainability practice. So the topic of reporting on disability inclusion, we very much approach through the sustainability lens. Now, this pledge was signed by company leaders from 10 company members of our network. And the pledge itself is, of course, a tool, so to say, to visibilize the pioneering commitment of some of our companies when it comes to bringing together disability inclusion, labor rights, and the sustainability agenda, including on environmental social governance issues, ESG. When you look at the pledge, obviously available also on our website, businessandisability.org, there are 6 main areas, from leadership and governance to inclusive practices and materiality assessment, empowerment and career advancement, accessible environments and products, and diversity of suppliers. And then the topic of our webinar, of our seminar today, is reporting and continuous improvement. So the business leaders in these 10 companies that signed the pledge, and I'll show you in a moment which companies have signed the pledge. When it comes to reporting and continuous improvement, I'm sorry to read it from the pledge, but I don't want to put words into business leaders' mouths. They commit to incorporate comprehensive, data-driven reporting on disability inclusion initiatives and outcomes in their annual ESG and other sustainability reports, with clear objectives, progress metrics, and areas for continuous improvement, because of course you can always improve. So this really is our angle from the Global Business and Disability Network, to make sure that in reporting, especially sustainability reporting, disability is an integral part of what companies are doing. I mentioned that I would show you who signed the pledge. The companies that signed this business leaders pledge on disability inclusive sustainability practices are 10: Accenture, AXA, Capgemini, Aegis, Inditex, obviously L'Oreal, represented today also by Karen and Stefan in this webinar, Orange, Repsol, Salesforce, and Sanofi. Here on this slide, I won't have this slide up for a long time, but you can see the names of those who signed, including a few CEOs. So it's really senior level, sometimes the highest level of a company, that said, look, we'll need to do better on bringing ESG sustainability issues to disability issues, including on reporting. To support the pledge signatories specifically, but of course any company that has an interest and commitment, or increasing their commitment to bring disability and sustainability, the two discussions, so to say, there shouldn't be two discussions, there should be one integrated discussion. We also launched at last year's global conference a technical guide called Putting the I in ESG, Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities, a Strategic Advantage of Sustainability Practices for Corporates and Investors. A little bit long title that you can just refer to it, Putting the I in ESG. I'm mentioning this, of course, because it is a useful guide. It's not only committing, pledging something, but also we give guidance on how to do that. And as part of the development of the guide, we were happy and privileged to count on the support of many strategic allies, including Disability Hub Europe, and specifically Carla, who I think will now take over from me to talk about their latest stunt, another publication, I believe. No, Carla, over to you.
Great, Jürgen, thank you. Thank you. I will support my presentation with a PowerPoint. So I think from ILO team will be helping me on that. Thank you so much. And well, so I am Carla Bonino, from Sustainability Chief at the Menze Foundation, and also Disability Hub Europe leader. I am a middle-aged white woman wearing my curly hair up and a yellow shirt, and I'm very happy to share this session with all of you and to present the publication Inclusive Reporting, a Business Guide to Disability and the European Sustainability Reporting Standards, which from now on I will call ESRS, so just for everybody to know. And if I can go to the next slide, please. Let me just start very briefly by mentioning that Disability Hub Europe is a pioneering multi-stakeholder initiative led by the Menze Foundation. Disability Hub Europe mission is to advance the intersection of disability inclusion and sustainability, very much linked to what Jürgen was presenting before. Given this objective, Disability Hub Europe counts with reference partners at European and global level, some of them also participating in this event, such as ILO GBDN, myAbility, and L'Oreal. If we can go to the next slide. The guide on inclusive reporting aims to be a practical instrument to highlight how disability integrates into current EU legal reporting requirements. Of course, applying to EU, but having an impact at global level. In a key moment for sustainability and inclusion agenda worldwide, this guide seeks to assist companies in aligning disability inclusion efforts with the legal framework of the ESRS, but all with a strategic perspective and going beyond the idea of just compliance. The guide is inspired in previous tools on disability and sustainability reporting produced with Global Reporting Initiative, reference standard platform for sustainability reporting, as well as the work done by ILO GBDN on ESG and disability just presented by Jürgen. And the guide also that we present today, that we share today, counted with a collaboration of different national business and disability networks from Europe as members of ILO GBDN, and including myAbility. So thank you very much for the contributions received. And finally, just before I paint the main aspects of the guide, I'd like to say that the guide lays the foundation for an upcoming publication, which is focused on benchmarking on disability disclosure under the current EU regulation, which analyzes 100 companies belonging to the so-called first wave of reporters. So you will see the results soon. If we can go to the next slide, please. Now, with all the details available in the publication, which I cannot reflect right now, I can highlight that here that the matter of employment and inclusion of persons with disabilities is present in various of the social standards within the ESRS, including a disclosure of the percentage of persons with disabilities in the workforce, but not only. References to disability inclusion disclosures can be found in relation to own workforce, but also the value chain, consumers, and end users, with a strong link to accessibility matters. And well, as it is well known, the sustainability reporting regulation in the EU is currently being revised, generating some degree of uncertainty, we can say. However, disability has already gained its place in sustainability reporting and in sustainability strategies more broadly. And what we see from the evolving process in the European institutions leads to conclude that disability is foreseen to remain strong in the reporting framework. And finally, the last slide I would like to share, I hope I am, yes, that would be the next one, thank you. I would like to share is something that I would like to highlight for this webinar as the main takeaway of the guide and in relation to the topic of the discussion today, is to pay specific attention to how the guide helps companies better understand the process of double materiality analysis, which is both the basis of mindful and comprehensive sustainability strategies and focused sustainability reporting. Double materiality leads us to think, on the one hand, on impacts, they can be positive or negative, caused by companies to people and the environment. This is impact materiality. And on the other hand, it makes us think on external elements that may affect the company and bring risks and opportunities. And this is the financial side of the story, or the financial materiality. So the guide includes various examples to better understand disability inclusion in terms of impacts, risks, and opportunities for business. It also explains that under the ESRS, the definition of material impacts, risks, and opportunities is what sets the reporting focus. And finally, it contributes to the understanding that for an inclusive sustainability strategy, persons with disabilities need to be seen as stakeholders from a broad perspective, as employees, providers, consumers, and affected communities at least. And this links very much with the idea that we are for in Disability Hub Europe, and this is a term that we coined at Disability Hub Europe, and is Disability 360 in Sustainability Strategies, which means understanding this broad perspective of what it means to include persons with disabilities or the disability perspective into sustainability strategies and reporting. So maybe just to finalize with two main ideas, I would say that sustainability reporting is an opportunity for companies to refine their sustainability strategies, including its social pillar and its disability commitment. And the double materiality analysis can be a key element and a common field of work and reflection for bringing together the languages of diversity, equality, and inclusion on the one side, and sustainability on the other side, around the ideas of impacts, risks, and opportunities. And I would stop here, just inviting you all to consult the guide, which is available in Disability Hub Europe website, and thanking Valuable 500, myAbility, and ILO GBDN for co-organizing with Disability Hub Europe this wonderful webinar. Thanking also IKEA and L'Oreal for being here. And over to you, Anna, from myAbility.
Thank you, Carla, for this great overview of the guide, and also for showing its relevance for reporting and communication efforts. Hello, everyone from my side as well. I'm Anna from myAbility. I'm solutions lead here and responsible for our strategic consulting. I will also start with a short visual description. I'm a white woman in my 30s, wearing shoulder-long brown hair and dark glasses. And today I'm wearing a beige jacket and a dark shirt below. What we just heard makes one thing clear, I think, and this is that reporting today is not just about compliance, it's a strategic tool. And this has direct impact on how companies communicate, both inside the organization and also to the outside world. When we look at disability inclusion, reporting and communication really are two sides of the same coin. Reporting gives us structure, data, and credibility. And communication takes these findings, brings them to life, and helps build trust with employees, customers, and society. They depend on each other, and together they make inclusion visible. I would now like to highlight 3 examples that you will also find in our myAbility white paper on this topic, to show how reporting and communication connect, and also to sort of lay the basis for the panel discussion that will follow. First example is about the strategic approach in setting priorities. Through reporting, companies identify gaps and define measurable goals. These goals then become the foundation for internal communication, whether that's awareness campaigns, leadership messages, or recruitment targets. Second intersection of those 2 topics is about credibility. When a company reports transparently on disability inclusion, for example, on workforce representation, or also on accessibility efforts, these figures and actions strengthen their external communication. They become proof in employer branding, or in customer communication, or also in investor talks, for example. The third example I wanted to share is something you might not think about directly, but it's about internal engagement. Reporting efforts usually bring together HR, accessibility, sustainability, and communication teams. And this collaboration creates dialogue and often also a stronger internal awareness of why disability inclusion matters. So this shows that reporting feeds communication, and communication then also makes reporting tangible. Together, those two efforts shape how a company is seen and how credible its commitment to disability inclusion really is. With this in mind, I would now like to open the floor to our panel, and we will hear directly from business experts who will share their valuable insights and best practices around this whole topic of reporting and communication. Thank you everyone for also showing your video already. To start, let's sort of move back to also what Carla said on the topic of reporting. And I would really like to hear from you what relevance has reporting in shaping and refining your DE&I strategies, as well as also strengthening them as part of the social dimension of sustainability. Whoever wants to start, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Thanks, Anna. Perhaps I can jump in here. Hello, everybody. I'm Etienne-Sloan from L'Oréal. I'll describe myself very briefly. I'm a middle-aged white woman with wavy mid-length blonde hair. And today I'm wearing a blue top. I have grey glasses, and I also have my earpods in. So thank you, Anna, for the question. And thanks also to Jürgen and Carla for your very informative presentations. I think reporting is very relevant in shaping and refining our DE&I strategies. I don't think that answer will come as a surprise, to show our commitments and to drive accountability. At L'Oréal, reporting on diversity, equity, and inclusion is not at all new. We've been reporting on our DE&I strategy and actions in the group's universal registration document, including on the number of our employees with disabilities and our global target in this respect for several years, well before the CSRD requirements came into force. And we also decided to go a step further 2 years ago and actually published a standalone diversity, equity, and inclusion global report, which enables us to go into more detail regarding our strategy and our actions with respect to our employees, our consumers, and our communities. But it also enables us to move beyond pure compliance and give more detailed information on all sorts of country, brand initiatives, etc., to illustrate really how we are striving to beat stigma and to achieve a more inclusive workplace and society. But I think that's very much the external reporting perspective. It's very important to mention that our external reporting activity is, of course, not possible without a robust internal global reporting system. We obviously rely on our HRIS and our global HR country reporting system, which enables us to have both quantitative and qualitative elements for our CSRD requirements, but not only. And also, very importantly, we also have our annual Pulse employee engagement survey, in which for the past 3 years, we have included self-ID questions for our employees. So this gives our employees the opportunity on a voluntary and anonymous basis to disclose their disability if they so wish, which is obviously very important for us then to have an indication as to the number of employees that are disclosing their disability through this mechanism rather than through various other, let's say, official ways of doing so. And also it gives us so important insights on our employees' real experience and perception of inclusion at L'Oréal when we analyze answers to the survey in line with the information that we're getting through the self-ID data. So I think to come back to the question on the relevance of reporting, it's very relevant in order for us to track our progress. That's essential, which in turn enables us to fuel the internal discussion on our strategy, to engage our stakeholders, including, of course, with our top management, to assess our policies and practices as a consequence, what's working, what's not, and then to refine them if necessary. And also to liaise with the countries regarding their challenges and successes. Stefan will talk more about this later. What works for them? Are there any really notable initiatives that could be scaled up and then turned into global best practices? So that's a very comprehensive response, but if I could just add two further very quick points. Reporting is also very relevant for our strategy as it shows to our external stakeholders, consumers, investors, rating agencies, if we are meeting their expectations and values regarding socially responsible and inclusive companies. And if we're not, then that's also very relevant for us to enable us to perhaps rethink our strategies in this respect. And I've been very focused up till now really on our reporting from a HR perspective, but obviously diversity, equity and inclusion, as you and other speakers have mentioned already, is wider than a pure HR topic. And so our strategy also extends to our suppliers, notably via our inclusive sourcing program, and of course, obviously to our consumers as well.
Thanks a lot, Karen, for this very comprehensive answer, highlighting also the relevance to your strategy, to your stakeholders, also including top management, which is, I think, really a really important aspect of this discussion as well. Any additions from the other panelists, maybe?
Maybe I can just echo what Karen said, but before I would love to do a short self-introduction. A visually one, because I just realized that Karen and myself look quite similar today. I also, I'm a woman, white woman in my 40s. I have long blonde hair, and today they are a bit wavy, still from the weekend. And I have a blue top. Yeah, so I think today we look very similar. Thank you, Karen, for the extensive and comprehensive answer you already gave. I think I can also echo that from an IKEA point of view, also from global perspective. I'm more the local liaison here, so I'm speaking on behalf of IKEA Austria. But what I can say is that we really use the reporting itself as a management tool locally. We don't have to report on a local basis, and I think it's really for us helpful, as Karen said, to find out the gaps where we need to improve, and also really see how we can reflect society. If we have facts and figures to work with, it's not just a stomach feeling, but it's something we can strategically work on. And I have to say that we are not there yet. There are some units in Austria where we still have to pay the fee. But in some units, we have best practice examples. But I think it's really what I want to emphasize. It's a journey, it's a way, and it's good to start wherever you start, to make sure you start the path. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me also maybe just add something. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Stefan. I'm working for L'Oréal DACH as CSO and lead for diversity, equity, inclusion. And a short description, I'm in the end 50s. I'm a male. I'm a white male. I'm wearing a white shirt today, and I'm wearing also round glasses today with a transparent frame. And just, to add on really what Karen said is now we are in the country, sitting in the country. For us, the reporting is important because we are business, and we are very business-driven, KPI-driven. So we benchmark ourselves a lot with different KPIs. And of course, as we strongly believe in diversity and in all facets, we of course benchmark ourselves. Where are we standing as the DACH region compared to other countries? So it's very important to really put it on the agenda. And even more important, I think, is what Karen mentioned for us as a country, the pulse survey, because the pulse survey gives us deeper data, because the invisible disabilities are they are also covered, because people, basically have the opportunity to tell us about their engagement, about their feeling of being valued, their opportunities to make a career with their different let's say disabilities and so on, and then we have really this clear business drive that we believe that diversity for us is the essential growth engine for us in the business. We need it. We need the different perspective. We need the different experiences of all people in society. We also believe that being good in diversity and inclusion is a major talent magnet effect for us. And of course, we need always talents in our company to further grow. And we also are highly convinced that all our employees need to be highly motivated and engaged. And that's true for all, and also for the group with disabilities. And therefore, we are looking very deep into these numbers and trying to take action to correct them. So very important also to steer the business D&I, let's say, business oriented.
Thank you also, Stefan, for this addition, and also for giving already some examples of what KPIs could be used, especially in regards of workforce representation, and how to also go beyond rather narrow national definitions and go into direction of self-ID, for example. And what you said at the end is kind of takes me also to my second question, which is you just also highlighted what purpose communication efforts have and what you want to reach with them, and how you also measure your success and your belief in this topic. And as I said, this brings me to the second question regarding I wanted to know, what is your experience? What are key aspects for successful internal and external communication around disability inclusion and social sustainability? Can you give examples on what you use, what kind of content, what kind of indicators, etc., and where this brings you?
Can start if you want.
Go ahead.
First of all, it's for us, it's very, very important that the topic of D&I is omnipresent in our organization through the entire year, not only on special moments. Therefore, I think when it comes to internal communication, first of all, it's important that something happens throughout the year. And then, of course, we also use different channels. So, of course, we have the board meeting, the town halls, but so it's part of the newsletter, because D&I is part of our game changers. We have an own podcast where sometimes, or very often, frequently the topic is also discussed in podcasts with also the different aspects to reach a maximum number of people. And then it's very important, because a very business-driven company, that we always underline and make clear that for us, diversity, equity, inclusion, with all its aspects, with all the elements and all the dimensions, is business relevant, is for us a key success factor for growth. It was a growth factor for the last 20 years, where we focused a lot, for example, on gender balance, on being open to the queer community, etc. But now we know also that all the other aspects improving there will make us stronger in the marketplace, towards the consumer with our offers, but also towards our own workforce in terms of getting the talents and retaining the talents and having motivated and engaged talents. So it's a major importance that we make this clear to every leader, but simply also to every manager. And then we need to engage the people, not only make the people aware. So then we go deeper, and we have really internal events, celebrations, or even specific campaigns. And I give some examples. We had a Break the Silence campaign, where people really on posters, but also live, talked about their disability. And this was from all management levels. And these gave also a symbol of you can talk about it. It's a company which is open to it. There is no stigmatization, etc., in this company, and it's also not allowed to have a stigmatization. We have also clear human rights guidelines, and this really, gives also security to the people, but also drives strong awareness. We have, of course, a special visibility day every year. As another example, and of course, this is also what we do frequently, also for the different dimensions of diversity, the Out at L'Oréal Day, the Anti-Racism Day, a Family Day, etc. One big thing is also the Beauty of Inclusion Award, which is really a campaign where there is a big competition between the countries of all European or worldwide countries of L'Oréal, where they can really pitch on specific activities. Is it inclusive sourcing, or is it inclusive advertising? Is it inclusive product offers, or is it just an inclusive measurement, let's say an office place, which brings more inclusivity? And so this can be pitched, and there's a prize behind. There's always a competition, and this also happens frequently, engages the people, and then of course making them also proud. It's very important. We have in total 6 employee resource groups. We have one which is called Visibility at L'Oréal, very strong group, and I have to take care that they always have a great platform, that they are seen in every possible event, that they are also known, and that they are also valued in the contribution they do, because they give a lot of insights which others don't have. For example, at the moment, they really raise the big topic of neurodiversity and make this really known what it means, and also push for changes in our offices, changes in our education, new education systems in terms of inclusive leadership. And yes, we are also communicating to the outside world, because we have to, if we want to be relevant. It's the reputation on the one side, and it's the talent magnet, so basically being a relevant employer on the other side. And therefore we have a really paid owned earned strategy. So we do paid advertising about our achievements, where we are. We rely on our own channels, and of course earned is the best. Our own employees with the experience talk about us and say how it is to work here. And once again, we are definitely not perfect, and therefore, and with this we know also from the numbers, therefore we are there, in a very, very engaged and strong competition with ourselves to improve permanently. So therefore, communication very important with all the different elements.
If I can jump in there. Oh, sorry, Elisabeth, go ahead.
No. I just wanted to add 2 more things because I think I can underline everything Stefan has mentioned. I think one thing I would really recommend also companies or organizations who are listening in to this webinar today is to work with partners. I think myAbility is also a very valuable partner for us in Austria. And when we started our journey years ago, we have a diversity and inclusion leader. It's just like you, Stefan and Karen at L'Oréal. And of course, you don't know everything by heart at the beginning. And then you also think, you need to do audits to check, if, for example, a store is fit for a co-worker with a wheelchair, or is it possible that we have, for example, people who are deaf to work in the logistic? What are the measures to be done? So I think one element I really want to stress here is you don't have to know it and everything on your own. Get yourself valuable partners on board and listen to the people. As you mentioned, Stefan, the different resource groups you have, I think it's one thing is really to listen and learn from them, because they, as soon as you actively integrate people with disabilities from the LGBT community, they can tell you, what is the right context of communication, what is authentic communication, because of course you want to create awareness and also show, that you are an equal employer. But it's always, I think, a gift if you have people to work with you on the communication, because then you might avoid mistakes which easily can happen in the communication. There are these little things which might be misinterpreted or something. So I just wanted to mention that, because I think you all covered that. I think this really is a personal recommendation. Sorry. Karen.
Thanks, Elisabeth. I wanted to come back to something that Stefan was saying because, Stefan, you mentioned the initiative or the program Break the Silence. And it's a great program. It was rolled out so well in DACH. It had a great impact. And this program, just to explain, I like using it as an example because it shows how an initial local initiative, so Break the Silence actually started in the US. It was a project that was proposed for the awards that came before the Beauty of Inclusion Awards that Stefan mentioned, the Disability Awards, and was a winner in those awards sessions. Afterwards, we managed to scale it up. It became a global best practice and then has been rolled back down to the countries in order for them to roll out the program. So it really is, I think, a good example of how we can do a full circle of how reporting and communication, really, we can get inspired by what's going on when we learn about the fantastic initiatives that are happening in the countries, and then we can help other countries and markets to roll them out as well. And I fully agree with you, Elisabeth, as well about the value of partnerships, especially those that are present today during this webinar. We always believe that in order to advance our diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda and really make a difference on many topics, we are stronger together. So we can improve our advocacy, really try to amplify our impact and really shape the narrative. From a reporting point of view, we've seen it as well. Obviously, when all the new requirements came in for reporting in accordance with the CSRD, everyone was navigating these new requirements, and it was incredibly useful to be able to get together through business partnerships and coalitions and brainstorm a little bit, see what other people are doing. And it's good to give us just that impetus as well to go further. I think companies like ours are quite competitive as well. So it's great just to see what other people are doing to gain inspiration and also get that guidance and insight. The guide that Carla presented earlier is really fantastic. And so for companies that are starting on their reporting journey, notably under CSRD, I think it's going to be a fantastic tool for them.
Thank you, Karen. Is there any other addition, anything that just came to your mind while Karen was talking?
Yeah, if I can just maybe say one word again and underline how the execution, because we talked about the employee resource groups, and I want to underline again how important is this self-ID and this self-assessment, because you have the reporting. It is about, in our case, it is about our sites. And our sites, are they really barrier-free, 100% as we want to have them? And more important, I would say in those times even, are they really a well-being place for everyone? So is it a safe place, especially for people with neurodiversity, which is very often not known? So the resource group opened up and really said that there is an issue. And of course, you could see it also in the data of the self-ID. But what is then important, that you really bring people together from IT, from campus management, from finance, in order to really get the means to make a fast and quick change, in order to be really an inclusive employer of the future. And therefore, my learning is all these data helps to build such a business resource groups, which is able really to make quick changes, also to get the funds and the means. And they need this data because the data was striking them. And so it helped me a lot.
Thank you, Stefan. And I'm sure all of you will also get the chance to give some more examples, share some more best practices during the Q&A, which is following. I will just very quickly try and summarize what we were just talking about in this panel discussion. And there's actually two thoughts that really stayed in my mind, which was on the one hand, that whenever we talk about reporting, we should not only talk about external reporting initiatives, but also internal reporting. And I remember what you said, Elisabeth, also about using internal reporting as a management tool. And what both of, or all the three of you said, that internal reporting is a tool for strategy refinement and to set the right measures as well. And the second point is that with communication efforts, you have a tool to reach many important target groups in order to become more disability inclusive. One is the whole employee side, and they're also really important, managers, hiring managers. You can also reach consumers, of course, and also position yourself as a sustainability as a sustainable company. And you can also use, as you, Karen, said, your advocacy to sort of drive this societal change, to drive social impact as well. And I'm really happy for all the examples you said about communication activities that at the end have the intention to raise awareness and to build trust. Anything you said sort of plays into this. And this is, I think, a really good example on how this also has an influence to reporting, because as soon as you raise awareness, as soon as you build trust, people will talk more about their disabilities, about their chronic illnesses, especially the invisible ones. And this will then have an impact on your reporting, especially in regards of workforce representation. I will stop here and hand back over to Ryan, who will lead our Q&A section and give room for all the questions that were posted in the chat already.
Thank you. And what a great conversation that's been had. I guess one quick question, Karen, a question in to you, has come in to just ask, could you repeat what the program was that was originated in the US that was scaled globally? I think someone missed it as you was talking. You're just on mute.
I'll just unmute, sorry. Yes, of course. So it's a program called Break the Silence. And it's a program, as I said, which originated in the US. The objective of which was really to enable employees to feel comfortable about disclosing their disabilities. So including mental health related issues, of course, and also to help them to obtain the necessary support when required. So it's an initiative which includes events with, for example, expert speakers. Workshops are organized. We have partnerships with different associations in the countries. We have employee testimonials, internal communication campaigns. So really a whole package of different events and different communication tools in order to really beat the stigma, make sure that we are promoting as an inclusive workplace as possible, and enable employees to feel comfortable disclosing their disability in order then that they can get the help and the support that they may need in the workplace. So it was, as I said, a program that initiated in the US, and then we rolled it up as a best practice at global level. And when we do that, we try to provide guidelines, simple guidelines, to enable other countries to put in place the initiative as DACH did so wonderfully. I don't know whether, Stefan, you wanted just to give some other specific information about the Break the Silence initiative in Germany.
Yeah, I think it's really raising the awareness and engagement with facts and with figures. People are not aware when it comes to disability. How many people are affected? When are you affected in life? That everybody basically, because many people are not aware that they can be affected the next day. And I think this really, first of all, gives the aha effect. And then, of course, that we have people in our field force with these invisible disabilities, which really have, breaking the silence, and they talk about their yeah, their disability and also their challenges very openly, and then they're also there, they involve. I think this gives a completely new atmosphere, gives trust, gives also safety. As I said, a safety space, especially if really even somebody from the leadership team makes the first step and is there, is on the campaign, is on the poster, and because it was a poster which was seen everywhere, and of course also in our internal media. So this is how it was really done. So a very, very personal thing also, not just facts, but faces from the company behind.
Amazing. Thank you both. If I can ask Elisabeth, can you share a question that's come in? It says, can you share please more on how you collect data on employees? Is it via an anonymous surveys, some self-identification tools, etc.? So just a question that's come in. So I don't know if Elisabeth used there. There we go.
Now you can hear and see me again, hopefully.
I can
Yes.
indeed.
I think I can echo what Karen and Stefan mentioned. We work in IKEA, Austria, and that is also on a global level. We work with a co-worker survey, which is called iShare. I for IKEA and I share my data. So this is a very comprehensive overview we have once a year. I think very similar to Karen and Stefan's pulse survey. It gives indication of where it's more like a qualitative feedback session where people can say, you know, I feel I have the place to grow as an individual. I feel that IKEA is an inclusive employer, and so on and so forth. And then that's the one part where we get like a temperature check every year. You know, are we doing what we are supposed to do? Is it, you know, like authentic feeling in the company, or is it just, you know, our communication campaigns? So that's one very good temperature check we have. And the other one is, of course, we work with, I'm not sure if that's clear to everyone. In Austria, we have 8 units. And by units, I mean we have stores where you can buy IKEA furniture. So we have from, you know, Vienna to Innsbruck, we have diverse stores. And every store itself has, of course, an own leadership team, which tracks, you know, all the different data for each and every store. But then, of course, we have also on Austrian level KPIs which we also have to report on a global basis, where we see, you know, how many people with disabilities do we have recruited. And then we also have anonymous surveys where we ask people about their sexual orientation, about their religious and so on. But this is very sensitive because in Austria this is a big topic, also with the Works Council. So this is only if possible, if people want to, you know, voluntarily tell us about that. I think what we really have as a tool, which works good and is not so much for the reporting, but just for us as a company, is always to have this I share feeling of, you know, do I belong here, and do I have the possibility with all my abilities or non-abilities to feel welcomed and safe in that space. So that is very good temperature check every year, and I'm proud to say that we live what we say. And I wanted to add one more thing, is that I think the leadership by example is a really effective example, because if you have leaders who live those values, then the rest will follow.
Absolutely. Thank you. I want to see if I can squeeze 2 more questions in. There's some really good ones. I'm going to just take this and open to our panelists. I'm going to take half of this question. Unlike carbon emissions or gender representation, disability inclusion still lacks widely accepted standardized ESG metrics. The question is, how is your company approaching this gap, and what would you like to see standardized so investors can fairly compare progress across companies? It's quite a meaty question, but I thought it was a good one. So I wonder if either Stefan or who would like to go for that one?
Karen, would you start maybe?
Yes, certainly I can. I can't seem to turn my video on. It seems to have been deactivated.
You're
I'm
back.
not sure. Ah, there we are. There, I'm
You.
back again. Yes, I think we've seen a lot of progress with CSRD to start with. So reporting has clearly advanced a lot. It's been, I think what we've managed to obtain from that process in any case is certainly improvements in transparency, accountability, and comparability. Investors obviously now, I think, have a much closer or a much clearer picture as to the situation of companies, because we now have a standardized disclosures which have been provided in the ESRS, and they have comparable information in order to base their decisions. We are challenged by investors. We have a lot of discussions. I often liaise with our investor relations teams because we know that investors are now looking more and more to invest in socially responsible companies. They're looking also to the ratings agencies who are providing them with valuable information regarding the social impact of companies. So at the moment, the specific indicators that we are reporting on publicly generally concern the number of people, employees with disabilities within our organization. I think we can probably or potentially reflect on other things that can go, other indicators that could go further. The guide obviously gives very good guidance with respect to that. But I think also investors, external stakeholders are looking for that qualitative information as well. So not just publishing figures, but also showing what we are actually doing and the details of the actions that we are carrying out. So I'm not sure whether that replies exactly to the question. It was a meaty question, you did say, right?
I did say, but you've answered it perfectly, and I'm really conscious of time, but thank you, Karen. I wonder if I can get, just if everyone wouldn't mind putting their cameras back, just a real quick answer from you on this, because this is a common conversation, I think, that keeps coming up. Some organisations focus more on neurodiversity, and there are different approaches, and do you take it separately or include it as part of disability? I guess I just wanted to ask from your perspectives, do you include it as part of disability or do you treat it separately, yes or no? I think it's a common conversation that is happening quite a lot with neurodiversity, as we've seen an increase of that being discussed and more individuals being able to be diagnosed with that at a later age. So I guess from your perspective, from an IKEA perspective and a L'Oreal, do you see it separately or do you include it as part of the disability? I don't think we'll be able to go any further into answering because I'm conscious of time. Go on, Elisabeth.
Well, I can answer on behalf of L'Oreal in any case. Our pillar originally, the pillar of our DE&I strategy originally referred only to disability. We changed the name of our pillar recently to physical, mental, and social well-being. And obviously this pillar then encompasses disability, of course, but also chronic illness, mental health, and the topic of neurodiversity. So we look at it in a, let's say, a holistic way.
Yeah, and also maybe just to add, Karen, I think it's also the right way because you have really intersectional diversity in this group, and this group really echoes back, yes, you needed to put it in one pillar, very, very clear.
Amazing. I was hoping someone would say the word intersectionality. Perfect. Thank you, Stefan. Elisabeth.
I think we have to, it just took me longer to get my unmute button, sorry. I can echo what Karen and Stefan said. We view it as a whole, but of course, still you have to take care of each and every individual group. What is the need they have on the workplace? I mean, for example, it's a very you might find easy example to understand. For example, in the stores, if we have people who work there who are deaf, and you have, for example, a fire alarm, they need to have different kind of mechanisms, communication tools, so they are aware that if a fire alarm takes place. So I think that on a whole, of course, but still individual to what their needs are, and to make sure that each and everyone has the preconditions to really bring in their talents and their whole self.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We have run out of time, and there were questions that we weren't able to answer, so I do apologies throughout that, but thank you so much for being with us today. A sincere thank you to our speakers for sharing their expertise and their perspectives. We've explored how disability inclusion can be integrated through corporate communications and sustainability reporting, but it's not just as a compliance requirement, but a strategic driver of business performance and cultural transformation, and how ESG frameworks, including the European Sustainability Reporting Standards, can be used to embed inclusion into the core of organised strategy. As mentioned earlier, the webinar has been recorded and will be available to watch after the session, and an easy-to-read transcription will also be provided. We hope you're leaving today with fresh insights, some tools, renewed sense of purpose, empowered and able to take action within your own organisations, and to ensure disability inclusion is reflected in both your reporting and your values. Again, thank you for joining us today and for input with your questions and your continued commitment to building a more inclusive and equitable business landscape. Thank you all so much.